Hello and welcome to another lesson brought to you by Learn Drums Live. In today's lesson, we're going to look at a concept we can use to improve our ability to play flams around our set. Specifically, we're going to be playing sort of a hybrid Swiss triplet, leading with the right hand. So a Swiss triplet, if you just lead with the right hand, or I should say you play a right-handed flam, it's just this. I'll turn the snare on. I had it off earlier, obviously. What we're going to do is we're going to play that between our rack tom and floor tom while keeping the left hand on the snare drum. We're going to come up with patterns using syncopation as a guide. All right, I love doing that stuff with syncopation. If you've watched any of my videos, you probably know that already. So how it's going to work is this. We're going to look at each measure. We'll take one measure phrases. And if it's an eighth note, we're going to play the flam between our snare drum and our rack tom. If it's a quarter note, between our snare drum and our floor tom. So if you look at the first measure on the screen, it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Eighth note, quarter note, eighth note, quarter note, eighth note, eighth note. So if it's an eighth note, remember, it's like this. If it's a quarter note, it's this. So play it together and playing them, thinking of those as triplets, either eighth note triplets or 16th note triplets, depending on what you think the pulse is. I don't really care about that. It's really just more about this particular idea. It would be like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and. Okay? Keep going. Now, of course, if you're counting it like that, you're thinking of that as 16th note triplets. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay? So when I first started working on this, what I did was I'd play some time. What's great about this exercise to me is I think it's somewhat creative, but also besides working on the flams, it's really keeping your left hand working because you're playing. Your left hand's moving the whole time, right? You're playing triplets with your left hand. So let's do that a little bit quicker. Warm up, get around the kit. I love flams. They don't necessarily like me too much, but I like them. So this is a good way to work on your flams. So let's look at another measure so we make sure we solidify the concept, and then we're going to look at a couple ways to practice this over ostinatos that are played with the feet, and those are going to be 6/8 or 3/4 feels. All right, let's take a look at another measure. Okay, so let's look at another measure. This measure has 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and as the rhythm, all right? You have a quarter note, another quarter note, eighth note. Quarter note, you play the flam between the snare and the floor, eighth note, snare, and the rack tom. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, that left hand is moving continuously. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's that. That gets a little tough because between the and of the 4 and the 1, that left hand is a lot of space where that left hand is just going. So, okay, so that's how you would play that measure. Now let's look at two examples where we can apply ostinatos to this concept. Okay, so, all right, so the first ostinato we're going to look at is kind of a drum also waltzes type thing where it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, if you look at the measure on the screen, okay, which happens to be the fourth measure, the first line, page 42 in syncopation, it's the way that I'm interpreting that is like this: 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Just like when we were doing like the no triplets, but I'm thinking of it in 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. So, 1. I can do it real slow. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, that left hand is constantly going, okay? So it's a good left hand workout. All right, so let's look at one more ostinato. And by the way, you notice I started counting at 1, 2, 3, 4. That may actually be easier for you to think about it because if you're doing it, I mean, the measure is in 4-4. So if you think it in those terms, and think of those, you're playing triplets, but you're counting it, or you're thinking about it in 6-8 or 3-4, but you're 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. All right, let's take a look at one more ostinato. Okay, so the next ostinato is going to be this. All right, and I'm going to think it again in terms of 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is the first measure on the fourth line of that same page, just so I can remember what I'm doing. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's turn the snare off on this one. I think it sounds a little bit more African, I guess. Nice 6-8 type of thing. as 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. You may find it easier when you're doing these examples to think of it like that. And it's another challenge to be able to count. One of the things I have my students do is stuff like this, and I make them read something and not have what they're doing with their feet affect, what they're saying, right? The speed of the text or whatever. Okay, so until next time, I appreciate it.